This week in comic books, Justice Society of America is doing something kind of cool, and I can kind of back on this one. In Marvel, we get a horrible, horrible Silver Surfer story and an okay Spider-Man story. I'm not really sure, but more importantly, in Independence, we get Kill Your Darlings. And I'm going to tell you why this is actually fun, and if you haven't picked it up, I'm suggesting it to you. That and a few other comic books, plus what covers I picked up. But first, let's take a quick break and let me sell you some coffee. Hey, what's going on, folks? This is your boy Pocan Joe to talk to you about Coffee Brand Coffee. We serve people that are tired of gimmicky advertising and branded companies that want to lecture you. At Coffee Brand Coffee, all we want to do is serve you freshly roasted coffee wherever you're at, whenever you want it. Consider Coffee Brand Coffee. Check us out, check our reviews out, and use promo code POCANJOE or the link down in the description to save yourself some money. Give me the opportunity to get you a delicious cup of coffee. Hey, what's going on, you wonderful weirdos? Yes, it's another new comic book week, and we're just going to kick this right off with our very first book. Blue Beetle, #1 came out. I went with this cover, of course. So what's going on in here? So what we're doing is we're kind of redefining the Blue Beetle or the whole scare mythos in this. We've hinted at this, even in the movie it kind of hinted at this, that there are different colors of beetles out there and they have different powers and they have to work together in this one. They've kind of formed a team, and we even brought back the Silver Age version of the Blue Beetle, Cord himself. So that's pretty cool. He kind of gets messed up in here as we meet a new villain as well. And we have an alien race that apparently is living in their city, who some of the people have a problem with living there. Racisms. It's always the racisms. That's fine. Where do I see this going? What we're seeing is I like this because we're finding out that a new team having to work together is not always like just jump right in and get it done. And we're seeing the hardships of what it is to have to be the leader of this group as well through the Blue Beetle. I think that's cool. I think that's really good. I think that's something to show, just because you're given a title doesn't mean you're automatically good at it. Plus, we kind of sort of have a mentor involved. So yeah, I'm digging this. I'll probably be chasing this down a little bit. All right, next we get Batman #137 with this cover, mostly because I messed up and I thought this would be the first cover appearance of a character. Apparently not really. So in this one, if you don't know, Catwoman and Batman are at odds, right? We talked about this when we talked about morals and ethics, right? And the stance that they're having in this. In this one, we kind of get a quick update of where Batman is right now that he's been awake for about 8 weeks. I would love to go to sleep for 8 weeks. That'd be awesome. But also in this, we also see that the Bat family, his other types of Bat people and Robins and everything else, are kind of siding with Catwoman, except for, of course, Damian Wayne, of course. Right? But then we also find out that his financial situation, again, he's broke again. I could care less about that. But in this one, Wayne Manor got sold to a classic villain, Vandal Savage himself. If you don't know who Vandal Savage is, he's basically an immortal villain who's been around since caveman days, right? He can't die. He owns Wayne Manor now, and he has found the Batcave, and he knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman now. What does this mean all in all? I don't really know what they're going to do with that. You can't kill the guy, so is it going to be canon now? I'm not really sure. I'm kind of starting to wane off of this a little bit, though. This and the whole mechanical hand Batman, he's got a mechanical hand, by the way. He shoots smoke or whatever. Same thing as his gadget build. But I don't know. It just seemed kind of cheesy, and it kind of seems like a pointless argument to have. Because, again, morals and ethics, when they conflict, always cause a war, as we see in this. Also, hence the title, Gotham Wars. Not really much to report on it, other than that they got into a little fight with Batman. And Batman's not rich anymore. That's what you got. Moving on to my boy, City Boy. Again, went with this cover here, because I didn't really care about it at this point. But I do enjoy the story. I do like it. In this one, we're following City Boy, and we're trying to figure out why his mom abandoned him. So he goes to Bloodhaven, her last known residence, if you will. Kind of picks up the memories of what's going on there as the city shows it to him in this kind of ghostly apparition form. But they're not ghosts, they're just memories. Whatever. So, and of course, Nightwing's there, and of course, he needs a little help. Maybe you can help him, a little tit for tat. They capture somebody who got tangled up with Intergang. If you don't know who Intergang are, they're currently working with Darkseid to bring him back. The villain. I am. Yeah, that guy. I'm trying to bring him back. Cool concept. Love it. But I'm just starting to wane off of this character, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's... Apparently I can't resonate with the character, right? But I don't know. I'm kind of bored with the city having an essence type of thing. Or being its own entity. Like, I don't know. That's like... It reminds me of the movie Big, when all the toy executives were sitting around, and they're like, trying to figure out ways to make kids like their new toy, which was a building that changed into a robot. And Tom Hanks was like, how do you play with this? Like, that's how I'm kind of feeling about this. If you've never seen that movie, shame on you. Pause. Go watch Big. You'll see what I'm talking about. Next, Peacemaker tries hard. I just picked this cover because it was funny, and come to find out it was somewhat relevant to the story. So, all in all, Peacemaker and his new parole officer / superhero friend, the Red Bee, are breaking into Brain's headquarters to go get their dog back, which he affectionately names Bruce Wayne, because he's a fancy little gentleman, as he says, I guess. But what's great about this is it's just comical. That's the whole... It's like Napoleon Dynamite on steroids. Right? Some of the things that come out of his mouth are just ridiculous. And I do like it for that. I catch the joke. But in this one, we find out that the Brain has been cloning a bunch of Deathstroke-type characters, right? He did his original body. Those guys didn't want to have a fight. They go into an area with a bunch of Deathstroke baby clones, get into a fight, literally start kicking babies around. It kind of reminds me of those old baby jokes back in the day. They were kind of morbid. And then we meet a teenager, Deathstroke, which he just talks about, why do you gotta follow your dad's rules? Be rebellious, blah, right? Walks past him, and then, of course, get into the fight, and the Brain, of course, tries to escape, but gets sucked up into another body of chemo, which is basically just a blob of chemicals. I'm assuming they're cancerous. And that's going to be the big battle. So I'm thinking one more issue of that, but just for pure enjoyment and reading, it's not that bad. Moving on. We got Justice Society of America. This is number 6. This is following up with the whole the new Golden Age, where we had the Golden Age kid characters that were on a lost island and their memories were wiped away from everybody else. Now they're being brought back in. So now the Justice Society's like, hey, a lot of these kids, right, like their parent, guardian, whatever, they're gone. They died a long time ago, and now they're brought into our time frame. So what do we do with them? It looks like they're matching them up with characters. Kind of get that mentor guideship, kind of update you at the same time, right? Because technically the adults would be, right? The adults would actually be younger than the kids in this one. Weird. But they're going to do that. So I like where this is going. I like the way the team ups can work, because I really like when you see that dynamic of mentor, superhero, learn to be a better superhero, and of course always add your own flavor into it. It looks like that's what they're going to be bringing into this. Plus these new characters are kind of interesting, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm enjoying that for what it is. Plus the artwork, it's that style of artwork I really do enjoy. So yeah, I'm recommending that. Next, Silver Surfer. I don't have a lot of these kind of negative type covers where they use the negative space very well. And so I got this cover, and honestly, I wish I didn't. The Silver Surfer story, him teaming up with Marvel's son, Gazelle. Help me down below. I know how it's spelled, but it doesn't sound that way when you try to say it. Anyway, the big twist, right? This thing is nothing but big twist. It's not even really a Silver Surfer story. It's a Mephisto story, because it turns out Silver Surfer was Mephisto in this. You had a planet that looked like the thing from Transformers. He flies through it. Ta-da, I'm the bad guy now. Ta-da, this is happening. Ta-da, it's just like this. It kept taking you out of the story. They should have really just played that out. A couple of issues where he's we learn as the viewers that he's him as they work through it, I guess would have been better. But the truth is, this whole thing was just him traveling back in time so he could see his dad, what his dad was like when he was a superhero. course, that doesn't work out well. And then when Silver Surfer does show up, Adam Warlock's got a problem with this because they used a time stone, right? Which him and Gamora are currently in control of in the Watchtower. Shows up, and of course, Warlock, being the infinite wisdom with all these great stones and everything, doesn't realize that they got tricked and the thing got stolen. It just seems kind of, it's very loose of a story. I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. We should be getting a good Silver Surfer story here soon. I hope. Alright, moving on. Fantastic Four, still the smartest comic book out there. And I regret getting this cover for it because it doesn't really display the story very well, although it is a cool story. In this one, Grimm wakes up and he is falling through a hole. His whole house is falling through a hole. He's got this weird stray dog with him. And we actually got to see like the Thing be kind of smart for a change. Instead of just being Mr. Clobber in time, right? He uses his brain a little bit and even teaches you how to determine velocity by using a simple little water trick with some fluid in it. And that's legit, by the way. I think sometimes we forget Thing was an accomplished pilot. Like, he knows things, right? Morons don't fly. Well, I take that back. Some morons, I guess, probably could. Guys that like to drink while they fly. But for the most part, like, he can shuttle a craft into space. He knows things, right? In this one, come to find out, it was all just a dream, which normally I have a problem with. But in this one, I'm willing to let it go because the amount of science that gets dumped on you in here is just super smart. Like, what would happen if this actually happened? You were falling through Earth. You know, what would that be like? And they tell you, and this, you just burn up because you're falling so fast, right? And there's like hot magma in the core of the Earth, right? And also stopping something abruptly one-handed, how that doesn't mean that the force stops, right? The house would just crumble around you. It was really good, but come to find out, again, it was all illusion by Dr. Illusion, right? He made everybody dream the Thing. And then, of course, coming around, and of course, using observational, skills. Most people would call this street smarts. It's really just observational intelligence. He noticed that the dog didn't like any of the food during the dream world that he kept trying to get the dog. And he's like, why isn't the dog eating this stuff? You don't like this? Blah, blah, blah. Come to find out none of it was real. So the dog wouldn't smell any of it. That was smart. I kind of liked that. So yeah, again, Fantastic Four. Still one of my favorite reads out there. Just because they really kind of punch it up with the story. Plus, hey, you want to figure out how to figure your terminal velocity real quick? Boop, boop, boop. A couple of things real quick. I thought it was smart. So yeah, definitely still one of my favorite reads. Next, Amazing Spider-Man. I went with this 1 in 25 ratio variant because I saw it and I enjoy Black Spider-Man, right? When he's in his little black costume, being the shadow venom-y kind of thing, right? Plus, I like a good Kraven story, and there's good Kraven stuff in this. However, this one, all it did, period, was just kind of flip the script. It's one of those issues where everything that happened to Spider-Man just turned around and did to Kraven now, or his son at this point, right? Because he's got a son. That's who we deal with now. And, so we got the whole bury him alive thing, chasing him through the sewer. We even got some, the rat guy down in the sewers. Venom? Vicious? Vermin. That's it. And his whole little clan down there as well. Kind of went through that little storyline. You may remember that from The Hunt and all that. But for the most part, it was an okay story, even though it's extremely predictable, right? Because we've already read this story if you've read comic books. If you're new to it, you may have found it interesting. Not so much me, but I am super happy I got the cover. So yeah, we'll move on with that. Next, pick of the week. I'm not even kidding here. Guys, if you haven't gone and picked up your polls yet, go out there, get yourself some Kill Your Darling, read it. You're going to love it. I promise you. I went with this cover right here because it's super creepy. There's just something about kids with sharp objects cutting up stuffed animals that I, as a 47-year-old man, scares the bejesus out of me. I'm not even kidding. This is weird, right? In this one, we start off with kind of a weird thing where we were burning a witch or a supposed witch way back in the 1700s. And then they don't really explain that. We immediately jump into current times right now. We got a single mother. Things are hard, right? They got a house, kids, she got bills. Apparently she was on the phone trying to rustle up some money from possibly the father. We don't really know. And then we notice that the little girl goes into like these little fantasy worlds where she kind of plays in her own little kingdom. Of course, she's the hero in her kingdom, rightfully so. And she even worked up a peace negotiation with the rat people, and everybody partied together, went to school, went back to her little imagination world as fast as she could, to come to find out that something evil and terrible is there. And whatever this evil and terrible thing is, whatever it does there, makes her do it in the real world. And there's a good chance that she set her house on fire with her mother in it. This one hits you right in the gut. It's like it's the feels. Like you feel the mother's pain. Get that this weird thing's happening to a kid, and it's not uncommon for abused children to kind of have a little bit bigger of an imagination or even an imaginative world that they can escape to given their hardships or whatever. The little girl tries to play with mom's just not feeling it, like she doesn't like hit her or anything. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm leaving out tons of just great stuff in here. I'm not even going to mention the beautiful artwork in it. But I want to be out there when people are talking about this and how great this is. So if you're going to do something, you want to talk about this live on air, or if I need to do something here, I really need to start doing that kind of stuff more because I really wanted to do it back during Middle West. But this is one of those ones that I'm gonna chase this down. As long as my comic book shop has it, I may even request it. I'm gonna follow this down and kind of see what's going on here. I think it's gonna be really cool. Last, and probably least, right? We got Masters of the Universe. We got Forged in Destiny. I kind of went with this kind of creepy cover. I like it. Love me a good He-Man story when they're good. Unfortunately, the last couple of ones have been a little miss for me. There was the cool one with the alternate ones out there, but we haven't really gotten a He-Man story. In this one, on Eternia, you have a couple of civilizations on it. It's probably the best way to think about it, right? You got the Snake People, that's where you get Snake Mountain and all that. You get King Randor, He-Man's, like their little deal over there. Then you got these other more technical, advanced type people, right? So they're over there. King Randor wants to go over and, kind of do the whole royal, hey, let's be friends type of thing with them. But Skeletor has something that they want over there. And, of course, Evil Lynn disguises herself as Prince Adam to steal it. And now everybody thinks Prince Adam stole it and probably even killed I'm going to say royalty, the prince or something along those lines, and his friends. This isn't too off base from the old canon character either. There was a tornado guy. That's what he called himself in this, like Dan Tornado or something. I don't know, it was kind of ridiculous. But I think we're going to be going down this kind of weird road where for some reason we're going to read Teela just lecturing Prince Adam all the time, which people that are same age as me, right? I don't let them lecture me about things, right? Like, we can always have a discussion, yada, 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 but if you have an expectation of me and you're the same age as me, you can save that. Like, you don't change an adult's life by lecturing them, right? Don't believe me? Tell me the last time you got lectured and it changed your life forever. Not the circumstance, the actual lecture. That's a rough one, right? Experiences changes, conversation changes, even figuring out ourselves, that changes people. But just you need to grow up and be the man that I expected you to be, and you're already, I don't know, well in your 30s, maybe late 20s. Like, that's just, no. That works for ex-Navy SEAL motivational guru guys, I guess. I don't know. But that's my comic book haul this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or if there's something that I missed, please let me know down below. Comment, like, subscribe. And guys, I'll see you next week. And don't forget, I have merch and coffee, by the way. Definitely check that stuff out. And I'm sure I'll catch you all around in the chats. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.